Welcome back. We're talking about state budgets and your wallets this hour. If you think parking tickets are all about the fines, you're right. Our next guest has been looking at the connection. Gary Wagner, professor of economics, University of Arkansas, Little Rock, joins us. Staying in the South. We're doing a lot of visiting the South today.
I love that. All about you today.
Gary, thank you for joining us. I would think that the first thing that comes to mind in local municipal budgets, boy, when we're in a crunch, we got to start handing out more tickets and start charging more for violations. Have you found that to be true?
That actually is what we found. We looked at 14 years worth of data for 96 counties in North Carolina, and we actually found that when revenue growth declines, they issue significantly more traffic tickets in the following year. Now, obviously, there's a public safety motive involved, but given that link, we think there's probably a revenue motive involved as well.
So it's not just, your study looked at North Carolina, but based on my experience, it's not just North Carolina that's jacking them up. Here in New York City, we're getting tickets for just about everything these days, and they're not cheap tickets. So they're raising a fair amount of money through these tickets, are they not?
Exactly, and one of the reasons that we looked only at North Carolina is simply the availability of good data. But the main issue is when local governments are able to keep some or all of the revenue that gets generated from tickets, they certainly have an incentive to issue tickets apart from just public safety.
Gary, in your study, is this at the county level? Is this at the city level? Both?
We looked at county level data, so
okay.
96 of the 100 counties in North Carolina for a 14-year period.
What have the county sheriff's departments, police departments said about your study? Have they looked at it? Have they acknowledged it?
I've not had any conversations with anyone directly about it, but my guess is they would not be happy with it.
But what's interesting about your study is that if the economy gets better, you're not seeing a decrease in tickets.
Right. We saw an uptick in the number of tickets when revenue growth was down, but we never saw a decrease in the number of tickets when revenue growth was up.
Are you seeing an increase in the fine per offense as well?
Well, actually, I wish we had data that allowed us to look at that, but we don't. We simply have the number of tickets being issued.
You got to do New York City next, because I'm telling you, you can't step off the curb without getting a ticket some days around here.
You know, I mean, obviously our idea is not that novel. A lot of people have thought of it before. I mean, the reason we got so much attention is we were the first people to really come across some good data. It's just really hard to find reliable and a long data series on traffic tickets.
I would be curious, too, as to the cost factor involved here as well. Does it cost the local police department more money to set speed traps and to make more money?
Well, exactly. I mean, one, it's going to cost them more, and the other aspect of that is if they're devoting more time to traffic enforcement, what are they devoting less time to?
Well, that's a great point, because all they're doing is sitting around waiting for you to, like, run a red light and slap a ticket on you.
Exactly. They're just reallocating their time.
At the same time, though, this is a fair amount of, they're raising a lot of money doing this kind of stuff, so you got to believe that this is the trend now going forward.
Well, I mean, I think the broader aspect of what we found is there's something real similar with the drug asset seizure laws, and that when police agencies are able to retain assets from drug seizures, they seize more. And basically during downturns when times are tough, you know, police may be incentivized, and I quote, may be incentivized, to direct their efforts towards more revenue-raising activities.
What's next for you guys? Are you looking at expanding this in any way?
We haven't done so yet, and I don't really know what's coming down the road.
Okay, so are you finding that the police departments, though, are actually encouraging their police officers to go out and ticket more?
Well, we don't have any direct evidence that a police chief is telling the officers to go out and write more tickets. We simply found that looking at after taking into account all the different things that you think might affect the number of traffic tickets being issued, like the number of police officers and the number of young drivers, we find a very strong relationship between local government revenue and the number of tickets being issued. That, to us, at least suggests there's a strong revenue motive involved.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. We appreciate it. Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
I'm the one that's paying all these tickets, though, by the way.
Well, I would also think, too, as we wrap this part up, I would think, too, that as these municipalities, and I think Oil Trash even wrote something on it about red light cameras and speed cameras, that they're starting to install more and more of these, because they've got to pay for themselves fairly quickly when related to the cost of a body and a police car and a person there, you know, doing work, essentially. You got a camera, it might have cost you more in the short term, but in 2 years it pays for itself.
Absolutely.
And it just works.
Absolutely.